Thank you so much. They volunteered that are going to be speaking today. We're going to start off with a gentleman whose book, if you haven't read it, by the way, I think it's right here. There's two of them. Greater Than Yourself is the first one, and I love this idea. It's about making the people around us great so that they can shine as well. A novel that takes place in Cardiff, California, and in Pacific Beach, and in Del Mar, and you get to hear, and it's this wonderful novel, and he weaves all of these business principles into this novel. It is an incredible read, and we are so honored with us today. Please give it up for Steve Barber.
I'm wired already, in more ways than one. Good morning. Great pleasure to be with you guys. We've been, as you just heard from Margaret, we've been planning this for a long time. You know, Kay's started, Stephen and Bobby started Kay's about 3 years ago. I joined on about 2 years ago, I guess, and it's a completely volunteer organization. So your shoulder may get tapped on before you leave today. And we've been putting a lot of work into this, and part of our vision and our intent, and the reason we wanted to open this up for the business community and for people that are not students, is if it's our mission to make sure that our kids have success. This is Youth Success Week. Then it became pretty clear to us, and it should be clear to all of us if we just take the time to think about it, that the success of our youth is not simply and strictly the job of our educators and our kids' parents, that we all play a role in it, or ideally we should play a role in it. If we could create an environment as business people, as members of the community, whether or not we have kids in school, if we can create an environment for our kids to be successful, that's going to benefit not only them, it's going to benefit us, it's going to benefit our community, and it's going to take our leadership in order to make that happen. So we wanted to focus today on this idea of leadership. So just share one word or phrase that you would use to describe leadership. Go. Okay. That was the lightning round. So let's just call out a few. What did you say? Nice and loud so I can hear you up here. Courage. Commitment. Impact through vision. Mentoring. Energy. By example. Empowerment. Okay, great. Let me stop you there. You see the theme, right? What I find interesting about that is that none of you said position. You didn't say title. You didn't say place on the organizational chart. And this is one of the problems with the word leadership. I think we've gotten to the point where we use the word too loosely. We use it as a label or a title that we slap on ourselves or we slap on other people without giving a lot of thought to what the implications really are, and with giving virtually no thought to what the personal implications are, what the personal stakes are in all this. And leadership is a very personal thing. Would you agree with me that leadership has got nothing to do with your position or your title? Therefore, it begs some questions that we have to ask ourselves. What does leadership mean to us? And how can I, individually and collectively really step more into it? And it's a very personal thing. I've been blessed in my professional life with some incredible mentors. I've been doing this work for 25 years or so. And my work and the books that I've written and the speeches that I give is really very highly influenced by and informed by my mentors. One of them is a guy by the name of Terry Pierce, who is arguably one of the finest executive coaches on the planet. And Terry was writing an article in the San Francisco Examiner a while back about his experience in coaching executives. And he was trying to describe what happens with these executives when the idea of leadership, when the concept of leadership smacks up against the reality of leadership. And he was trying to describe what it feels like for a lot of these people. And I think his words speak pretty well for themselves. Here's the way Terry put it. He said, there are many people who think they want to be matadors only to find themselves in the ring with 2,000 pounds of bull bearing down on them and then discover that what they really wanted was to wear tight pants and hear the crowd roar. So the minute you find yourself in the ring facing down 2,000 pounds of literal or figurative bull, that's when you realize this leadership stuff is not about the accolades. It's not about the status. It's not about the applause. It's not about what we call ourselves. We make some significant sacrifices and take some big risks in order to be leaders. And therefore, it begs questions that we have to ask of ourselves. And I want to pose those questions to you as we go through our little bit of time here together. So, I believe that if we are really going to step in to the proverbial ring, if we're really going to step up to what it means to be a leader, we need to be prepared for the experience that this is not a walk in the park. Leadership is an extreme act. Extreme leadership, therefore, the extreme leader is the real leader. Extreme leadership is a redundant phrase because leadership already is extreme. Extreme leadership is my way of saying real leadership beyond your position or your title, and you should feel it in very personal ways. The extreme leader is somebody who, in my estimation, strives to take a radical leap day in and day out. So this is what I want to walk you through. This is going to be, consider it the framework or the operating system for extreme leadership. And as you think about this, and as I kind of take you through this, reflect on, hold the proverbial mirror up for yourself and ask yourself, does this describe you? Or does it describe maybe impulses that you had, instincts that you had, but haven't acted on? Because, well, for any number of reasons, maybe because you thought other people would think you're nuts, or you just didn't feel like it was appropriate somehow. Just ask yourself those questions as we go along. LEAP stands for love, energy, audacity, and proof. The extreme leader with conscious intent cultivates love, generates energy, inspires audacity, and provides proof. Now, I have a suspicion that for many of you in this group, because you chose to be here today, because of the value system that you have that drove you to take time out of your day to come here this morning, that for some of you, this idea of love and leadership, I might be preaching to the choir a little bit, perhaps, for some of you. In which case, my hope is that maybe you'll just sing a little bit louder. But what I'm going to suggest to you is that love and business are not two words that we typically put together in the same sentence, right? We're conditioned to believe somehow that love has no place in business. They are separate things. That love is something that you want, that we desire, that we aspire to in every relationship in our lives. We want to love our spouse or significant other, and we want them to love us. We want to love our kids, we want them to love us. We want to love our friends, we want them to love us. And then we go to work, and somehow doesn't apply here. It doesn't make any sense. Not only is love not inappropriate in the context of business, it's at the very foundation of what great business is, and it's at the very foundation of any great, thriving, competitive business. So I want to just kind of make my case for this. I don't want you just to accept this at face value. Let's look at it from a business perspective. Now, first of all, do you get the impression that I'm squeamish about using this language? That I'm embarrassed by it? Good, because I'm not. I believe that love is the right word. I think it describes the right experience. But I'll also admit I wasn't always quite so bold about it. And I remember one of the first groups that I presented this idea to, I was speaking at a conference of 1,000 engineers. Now, is anybody, just out of curiosity, is anybody here an engineer by training? Work with it? Johnny's one? Okay. Anybody here ever worked with engineers? Married to an engineer, sitting next to an engineer, sitting next to somebody who was married to an engineer? Okay, fine. So here's the thing. I've done a lot of work with engineers and scientists over the years, so I'm well aware of the stereotype. The stereotype is, I'm an engineer, I don't do that people thing. Right? Keep the people out of my way so I can get my job done around here is like nirvana for the typical engineer. Now, I know it's just a stereotype. I know it's not true, for most. But it still made me nervous when I was standing up in front of 1,000 of these people from the internet and telecom industry, and I was talking about love. So I didn't know if this was going to fly or not, right? So I was being hypersensitive to the body language to see if I was connecting, and from what I could tell, I was actually getting through pretty well. And then a couple days later, I got back to my office, and I had an email from somebody in that group who was a manager of LAN technicians, network people, right? And at least I got through to him. Because he wrote to tell me, he said, hey, Farber, you know that love stuff you were talking about? He said, you're right on, man. He said, I've been telling my guys this since the day I became a manager 10 years ago. And I thought you'd appreciate seeing it in his own words. Here's what he said. I've told my technicians to make the customer absolutely love you, take you home to dinner, love you, meet the wife and kids, love you, because if the customer loves you, you can blow up their building and they'll say accidents happen. It's probably not the best business strategy, by the way. But this does tell us something really interesting about the nature of the customer experience. Now, how many of you here this morning are you consider yourself to be a business person with customers, with clients, etc.? Can I just see your hands? All right. Now, as a business person, what would you rather? Would you rather that your customer is satisfied with your business, with your product, with your service? Or would you rather that they love it? What would you rather? I would hope so. I would hope you want us to love what you do for us. Because the reality is that customer satisfaction offers absolutely no competitive advantage to business people anymore. Now, back in the day, once upon a time, customer satisfaction was the thing, man. How many of you have ever read any of Tom Peters' books or book covers, perhaps? So Tom's. How many of you have never heard of Tom Peters before? So this is. He's kind of faded out of the consciousness of the business world, which is really a shame because he's still alive and kicking, and a brilliant guy. I was vice president of Tom's company for 6.5 years. His original claim to fame was a book called In Search of Excellence, which came out some ungodly number of decades ago already. And In Search of Excellence was a groundbreaking book for a number of reasons, including that one of his co-author's name is Bob Waterman. One of the things that they were professing was that customer satisfaction is the most important thing, right? That a business should build its company around a satisfactory experience for their customers. And believe it or not, that was considered a radical thought at the time. But now we laugh about it because now it's so obvious. There is no correlation between customer satisfaction and repeat business. If the customer says, I'm satisfied with you, there's no greater likelihood that they're going to continue to do business with you. Now, before you get all huffy with me about customer satisfaction, I want to be clear. I'm not saying it's not important. I'm saying it's so important that it's become a baseline expectation everywhere. So therefore, it's not enough. But when they love us, that's when the great stuff happens. And you know this, you've seen it as a consumer, as a customer. Have you ever walked into your typical, let's say, retail place of business? You ever walked into a store or a bank and this person who's ostensibly taking care of you, it becomes really clear to you that they hate working at this freaking place? Right? You've had that experience? Then I'm going to assume that you've had the opposite experience too, right? Where you meet that person, they're taking care of you, and they just love people, and it's obvious that they love working there. Well, this isn't. There are people that are just kind of wired that way, but it's not an accident. It's typically a result of the environment and the culture that they're working in. I'll give you an example of this. I do a lot of traveling, and a while back I was out in Boston to speak to the senior management team of Sovereign Bank, which is now Santander. But Sovereign Bank is a regional bank out on the East Coast. They don't exist here in San Diego. So I'd never actually been in the Sovereign Bank. I didn't really know much about them. So I did the usual thing that I do in preparing for a speech or an engagement. I spent some time on the phone with the senior executives of Sovereign Bank to learn about their company and their culture and their objectives and all that. But I'd never actually been in the Sovereign Bank. And I got to Boston a day early, so I took advantage of the extra time that I had to finish up some personal business, which required getting a couple of documents notarized. So I went to the concierge of the hotel, told him I was looking for a notary, and he said, well, we don't have one here on staff. He said, but you know what? He said, there's a Sovereign Bank branch right across the street from the hotel. I'm pretty sure they have a notary there, and they'll take care of you. So I thought, that's cool, right? Because now I I can get my business done and do a little field research at the same time. Right? Do a little ghost customer kind of thing. Check this place out. So I walked across the street, and it was a small branch, just two tellers sitting side by side. I walked up to teller number 1. I asked for a notary, and she pointed to teller number 2. She said, that would be Rosella over here. She's also a notary. She'll take care of it. I said, thank you very much. I stepped over to Rosella's window, and we started doing the usual notary thing. Signing this, stamping that, you know the routine. And she was lovely, but there wasn't any profound conversation going on here. It was just small talk, right? And after now here's what I need you to know. I didn't say anything to Rosella. I didn't tell her what I was doing there. I didn't tell her that the next day I was going to be speaking to all the bosses in her company. I didn't say anything to Rosella about my philosophy of leadership. It was sign this, stamp that, small talk, that's all it was. And after she stamped the last stamp, I asked her a question that I've asked every notary that I've ever used. I said, what do I owe you? And she said, oh no, you don't owe me anything. This is just a service that we provide to our customers. I said, well, Rosella, I'm not a customer. And she said, oh, that's okay. Maybe you will be someday. I thought, hey, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. And then I had this flash of inspiration to ask this question. In retrospect, it seems like an obvious question. I said, hey, Rosella. I looked around, make sure nobody's listening. I said, would you mind telling me, how do you like working here at Sovereign Bank? Figured I could get the inside scoop, right? What's it like working here? And I'm telling you guys, there was no hesitation. Her face lit up, and she said, I love it. Just like that, I love it. Well, it wasn't just like that. I mean, she had this lovely island accent, which I'm not going to try to imitate. But she started going on and on about these other banks that she'd worked for and how terrible they were, but this place is so different because everybody's so supportive. And then she starts telling me about her customers and how great her customers are, and that sometimes they just stop in to say hello, even when they have no business to do. And I have this odd habit that when I'm talking to somebody and they're telling me something that's really relevant to my work, I like to take notes, right? So she's talking to me, and I'm taking notes. I'm writing notes on the back of one of these documents I just signed. So this is a quote. This is one of the things she said to me. She said, I love my customers and I get great pleasure from serving them, so I'm happy. So in other words, what she was saying is, I love them, which makes it such a pleasurable thing for me to take care of them, and the more I take care of them, they come back and they stop in just to say hello, and on it goes, which makes me love them even more, et cetera, et cetera. And at one point I looked up at her and I said, Rosella, would you mind if I quoted you on this? And she said, would you like me to notarize it? That's commitment, right? What do you think I said? Yeah, that'd be awesome. And she did. There you go. What you're looking at here is the back of Rosella's business card. She took out her business card, flipped it over, wrote those words across the top, put her stamp on it, pushed it across the counter to me. I ran across the street, took a picture of it on my iPhone, stuck it in my PowerPoint deck. Why? Why did I make a slide out of this? Because remember what I'm doing there, right? The next day I'm speaking to the senior management team, so I showed them this. I said, look what you guys have going on right across the street. This is Rosella the teller. I mean, she's awesome, man. And the boss was so blown away by this that he ran across the street to say thank you to Rosella, and you can imagine how that blew her mind to have this guy show up, if she even knew who he was, I guess. And around and around it goes. So please, don't tell me that love has no place in business. Of course it does. It's just damn good business, if you have to think of it that way. So we experience it one-on-one. Now, the question then is, does it make sense? Does it have an impact on the value of a company? If you can have a culture where people love working there, etc., does it have an impact on what that company is worth? And I say it does, and I'm not the only one. There was a great interview, a video interview with Warren Buffett. I asked him the question that I'm sure that people have asked millions of times. How do you account for your great success, your great track record in investing in companies? How do you make that decision as to whether or not you're going to buy a company? And, he said some of the usual things that you'd expect him to say in terms of looking at the competitive landscape, the balance sheet, and all that. But then he said, in the final analysis, he said, even when the numbers look great, I have to sit down in the same room with the CEO, and I have to look into his or her eyes. And there's something very specific that he's looking for. Here's what he said. I look into their eyes and I try to figure out whether they love the money or if they love the business. If they don't love the business, I can't put my money into it. If they do, when I buy the company, then my job is to make sure I don't do anything that kills that love of that business. Now, this is a 15-second answer, and the word love comes up, what, 4 times, 5 times? I mean, I know that's not hard science, but I think it's pretty telling, don't you? And then he goes on to say, he said, the reason this is so important is, he said, if I look into their eyes, and all I see is the dollar sign, and I kind of hear the cash register ringing in the distance, he said that I know that the only thing they're really interested in is the exit strategy, and how quickly they can put their money in their pocket and get the hell out of there, and I'm trying to buy an asset that's going to grow in value over time, and it's not going to grow in value significantly over time unless the love is there. So please, don't tell me that love has no place in business. Now, all of this becomes very personal very quickly. So if you're with me on this, if you buy this line of thinking, we want our customers to love us. The way that we make that happen significantly and sustainably over time is to create a culture that people love working with. Well then, how do we create that culture that people love working in? Whether, by the way, it's the culture of a team, or the culture of a community, or the culture of a company, or the culture of a classroom, or the culture of whatever. How do we make that culture that people love being a part of unless I love it myself first? So this all becomes very personal. Let me tee up this part of the conversation just with a quick reference to Steve Jobs, because I want to rehash the whole Apple story. But he gave the commencement address at Stanford University to the graduating class of 105. And he was talking about how he made it through the challenges in his career, and there were many. And it's a great speech, by the way. If you can find it on iTunes, it shouldn't surprise you. But just Google it, and you'll find it in 30 seconds. Listen to it, it's really terrific. But when he got to the part where he talked about how he made it through the difficult times, here's what he said. I'm convinced that the only thing that kept me going was that I loved what I did. The only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. So I am not making this up. If that's true, so here's the question. Do you love what you do? And that's not a rhetorical question. And I believe that the answer to that has to be yes. Now, can you make money? Can you prosper without loving what you do? Oh yeah. I've seen, how many miserable wealthy people do you know? Quite a few, right? But remember, what we're talking about here is extreme leadership. We're talking about influencing other people to want to do great things. That can't happen, in my estimation, unless it's here first. So loving what you do is at the foundation of this, but it's not the whole story. So let me wrap it up like this. Do what you love, yes, but do what you love in the service of people who love what you do. Doing what you love is your personal connection to it. In the service of people is the context, right? It's the moral context, it's the ethical context, and it's the business context. So you're doing what you love, and you're using that fire in order to give tremendous value to me, and the result of that, the impact of that is going to be, I'm going to love you in return. When somebody loves you in return, from a business perspective, that is your ideal customer, right? That's what we're after. And from a relationship perspective, you take business out of it for a second. That's what we're after. It's that reciprocation. It's using our love to give great value to one another. That is the essence of extreme leadership. And unfortunately, it's something that we overlook. Because again, like I said earlier, we're conditioned to believe that love has no place in business, so we don't even think about it. So what I'm going to suggest to you is, these are not intended to be rhetorical questions. They're not intended to be philosophical questions. These are questions that I believe we need to ask ourselves and answer for ourselves every day. So here's non-rhetorical question number 1 for the morning. Why do I love this? And you pick the context. If you're a business person, why do I love this business? Why do I love this idea? Why do I love this product? Why do I love this project? Why do I love this colleague? Why do I love this family? Why do I love this classroom? Why do I love this school? Why do I love this work? You decide the context. And how do I show it? Why do I love this? How do I show it? Let me be a little bit prescriptive with you as to what to do with this question. I'm asking you to make it a habit of asking yourself this question frequently. Just try that. Try it for the next few weeks, see what happens. And I understand, I get it. We're all human. Some days this question is easier to answer than other days. Right? Some days you arrive at work in the morning and you throw open the doors and you say, why did I let this work? Let me calculate it. And you can write a love song for everybody on your team. It's just glorious. And then there are other days where, let's just say, it's a bit more stretch. The question doesn't even come out the same way. It's not, why do I have this? It's more like, why the hell did I sign up for this? And really all I want to do is go back to bed. What I'm suggesting to you is this. The more difficult it is to answer this question, the more important it is to answer this question. Because this question is designed to help you inspire yourself, stoke your own fire. Because it's virtually impossible to inspire, engage, motivate, enlist anybody else unless we have ourselves first. If you get this down, this is really the foundation of the whole extreme leadership framework. If you get this down, the rest of this deep approach leaps out naturally. But it does take us right into the discussion of energy. I'm not talking about metaphysics here. Energy is a very real, tangible thing. You know when you have energy, you know when you don't, right? You know those days when you jump out of bed, you know those days when you fall out of bed. It's a very different subjective experience. You know when you're around energetic people and when you're not. True? Have you ever worked with, for, or around somebody that was, let's just say, a bit lacking on the energy scale? You ever work with this dude, for example? The thrill of victory, the agony of defeat. So what's wrong with this picture? There's nothing there, right? There's no difference. This is the Walking Dead. This is a zombie, basically. And I guarantee you that any team, division, department, school, community, company that's led by somebody who's dead like this is going to create clones all throughout the rest of the, it's like the zombie apocalypse, right? All throughout the rest of the organization. And that's going to translate in some way, shape, or form into the customer's experience. And again, I believe you've had the same experience I have. I'm going to speak for myself. I can walk into the lobby or reception area of a company that I've never visited before, and in 30 seconds I can tell this place is cool, it was interesting, it was exciting, it was energetic, or if it's a board. 30 seconds. And unless it's a board, it shouldn't feel like a board. And I suppose you can argue that if you want to. But a place that comes across as being exciting and energetic is much more likely to be cranking out products and services that customers are going to love. And what I'm also suggesting is it's not an accident. It's a direct result of the level of energy that leaders, and again, it's got nothing to do with position or title, right? It has to do with the energy that we're putting into the place or not. So again, this gets very personal. The question is, what kind of impact do you have on the energy around you? At work or anywhere else? So here's a good way to start thinking about it. Make no mistake, you do have an impact on the energy around you. The question is, what is it? So here's a good question for you. Ask yourself this. Do I generate more energy when I walk into a room or when I walk out of it? You know what I mean, right? You've all known these people. They're like the walking vacuums of the human spirit. They're like the energy vampires. All they have to do is walk into the room. They don't even have to say anything. They're just walking in. You can see them in the body language of everybody else. It's like they suck the life out of them. And you see them just kind of shrivel up and wither and die until that person leaves. And then suddenly the clouds break, the sun comes out, the birds start chirping, it's a Disney movie all over again, and we get back to doing great work. So we want to make sure that we're not that person. I guess it's not a very profound point, but that's the truth of it. So here's a couple ways to think about it. Noel Tishy, professor of leadership, was a professor of leadership at the University of Michigan, done great research. Here's what he said from his studies. Leaders model the intensity, the energy that it takes to stay ahead competitively and to meet ever more ambitious goals. Punchline, they do this because they love what they do. So there you go. His words, his research, not mine, but the same conclusion, because it's true. If you love what you do, the energy comes out naturally. But beyond that, so idea number one, how do you generate energy? We've got to cultivate love. But beyond that, what else can you do? And that is a subject of probably volumes and volumes of books, because there are thousands of things that we can do to generate energy. So let's just focus on one this morning. I think it's a good place to start. The question on the table for the next few minutes is this. What do you really do? What do you really do? Now, I'm not asking you what your day looks like. I'm not asking you the stuff that you got to get through. But what do you really do? John Chambers, the CEO of Cisco Systems, called this the higher medium purpose model. So what's the higher medium purpose? And work beyond the transactional. What do you do? And what blows my mind about this, as a business guy, is meaning is everywhere. Because we assign meaning to things or we don't. And we have the ability to assign meaning to seemingly meaningless things. And it's quite amazing. Like if you look around the world right now, go ahead, look around the world, move your head, move your eyeball. Everything that you see in here, with the exception of your colleagues, is made by a company somewhere, right? The chairs that you're sitting on, the tarp on the floor, the basketball hoops, the paint on the bricks, everything that we see in here is made by, there are human beings behind all this. Now, we look at this stuff, and if we even notice it, what we think is stuff, right? Stuff. Boring, mundane, commodity stuff. But you know what? To the leading companies in, I don't care what the market is, no matter how boring or mundane their product or service appears to other people, to them, not only is it not boring, it's the most exciting stuff on the planet. They're the ones that everybody else is always chasing after. I'll give you one, and there are just so many examples of this, but I'll give you one. It's my all-time favorite example. You know this little company called Gillette? Okay, so what business are they in? What do they make? Razor blades. They're in the shaving business. They make razor blades. Razor blades. Woo! Can you imagine working for Gillette, driving to work in the morning, and thinking to yourself, what am I going to do today? I'm going to make razor blades, man! Hit the gas, get me there fast. It's a bit of a stretch for me, I have to say. But that's actually the way they are there. And there was this great article a while back in the Wall Street Journal. There was a profile on Gillette, and the question behind the writer's visit to Gillette was, how do they create this whole company, this whole culture where people are so passionate, so turned on, so energetic about razor blades and shaving? And I think that's a pretty good question. So they tell the story of this young woman. She's a business school graduate. She wants to work at Gillette. She goes through all these interviews, one after another. She makes it to the last interview, and the last question they asked in the last interview was, do you have any qualms? Anything you're concerned about? And she said, just kind of half kidding, well, I'm not so sure I want to spend the rest of my life worrying about underwears. Hardy har. Guess what? She didn't get the job. Why? They want people who want to spend the rest of their lives worrying about underarms. That's what they do. They worry about underarms and legs and faces and backs, whatever. It's true. So then they go down into the prototype model shop. They talked to George Turchinas, who was a manager of the prototype model shop, and also had the title of preferred tester. So what do you gather from that? What does this guy do for a living? He shaves. Now listen to what he said. I'm just going to warn you ahead of time. This is going to sound kind of sick. And not sick as in bad, as in good, but sick as in twisted. So here's what he said, and I quote, "We bleed, so go get a good shave at home." This is my 27th year, he said. Came here my first week, haven't missed a day of shaving. We bleed, so go get a good shave at home. You guys have a mission statement where you are? That's a great mission statement, if you ask me. So then they go down into the Shaving Technology Laboratory. They talk to Donald Chalk, Vice President of the Shaving Technology Laboratory, and they ask him to describe what happens here. And listen to what he said. And tell me if there's any energy in this. I love this so much, I pretty much memorized it word for word. Here's what he said. We test the blade arc, the blade edge, we angle with the razor, we balance the handle, the length, the heft, the width. What happens to the chemistry of the skin? What happens to the hair when you pull it? What happens to the follicle? We own the face, he said. We know more about shaving than anybody. I don't think obsession is too strong a word. And then he paused and he said, wait, be careful. I don't want to sound crazy. Too late. But But that's not crazy, that's energy, right? So here's the thing, this is the point, and I hope it's an obvious one. First of all, does Gillette make razor blades? Yes, but the point is, they don't make razor blades. There's something much bigger going on there. And I understand that I'm oversimplifying what Gillette does. They have other products and lines of business and all that. But you know what? Just in the razor blade market alone, these guys have over 70% of the world's market share in razor blades, and they're the ones that beat as far as shaping technology goes. Just ask anybody at Schick, for example. They're always chasing after these guys, right? Now you know why. They own the face. So, you see where I'm going with this. If it's possible to get energetic about razor blades, please don't tell me there's nothing to get excited and energetic about in the kind of work that you do. Whatever work you do. So here's now rhetorical question number 2. To answer that question, what is it that we really do? What is the higher meaning and purpose in our work? However you want to ask the question, these aren't magic words. But you'll notice I've added a little tagline that says, answer out loud, please. And all that means is talk about it. Answer this question for your business from your perspective in the business. So if you're the CEO, answer it on behalf of the company. If you're a member of a team, answer it on behalf of the team. And then talk about it with each other. Talk about it in your families. Talk about it in the community. Talk about it. Talk about it. Talk about it. And the reason is very simple. As human beings, for the most part, I know it's a bit of an overgeneralization, but human beings, for the most part, we are very energized by being part of something greater than ourselves. We're energized by being part of something great, period. And it's really easy to lose track of what that is in the day-to-day pressure of things. So, cultivate love, which will help us to generate energy, and then we have to use that energy for something significant. Energy is not an end in and of itself. And this is where the practice of inspiring audacity comes into play. This is a very highly charged word. It's got a lot of connotations to it in several meanings. So let me define it in the context of extreme leadership in 2 parts. Audacity, first of all, is a bold, blatant disregard for normal constraints. You know the old catchphrase that we've heard ad nauseum, that it's important to think outside the box. Have you ever heard that before? Think outside the box. The audacious approach to that is more along the lines of what box? There's no box in the audacious mindset. It's the blank sheet of paper, all possibilities mindset. But that's not the whole story, because there's nothing inherently positive in this. Right? If you really look at this critically, this could be chaos. This could be anarchy. So what's important here is the motivation behind it. So bold and blatant disregard for normal constraints in order to do what? If it's in order to confuse people, if it's in order to feed my own ego or advance my own agenda, then we're not quite there yet. So I want to share with you my answer to this in order to do what question. I'm not saying this is the only one, but I think it gets us right in the zone as far as extreme leadership goes. Bold and blatant disregard for normal constraints in order to change the world for the better. Bold and blatant disregard for normal constraints in order to change the world for the better. The audacity to think that we can change the world is the right kind of audacity. And it demands a bold and blatant disregard of probably the most insidious so-called normal constraint we put on ourselves, people, which is, I can't do that. I'm just me. I'm not Gandhi. I'm not Nelson Mandela. I'm not Martin Luther King. I'm not Mother Teresa. I don't have the talent, the time, the imagination, the creativity, the connections, the intelligence, change. Somebody else wants to change the world. I'll write them a check. But don't ask me to do that because I'm just me. And frankly, I think that is a very dangerous constraint that we put on ourselves. And if I could be blunt with you guys, could I be blunt with you guys? It's a lie. It's a lie. And it's a very convenient lie we tell ourselves. Because in believing that lie that I can't change the world, essentially what I'm doing is abdicating my responsibility for changing the world to somebody else. Which then gives me license, I think, to sit back and bitch and moan why things aren't better. And what gets us caught up in this, I believe, is the word world. Because most of us interpret that in the broadest possible sense. And I'll tell you something right now. If you can figure out a way to change the whole wide world, capital W world, for the work that you do, I say God bless you, more power to you, have at it. What are you waiting for? But it's not the only option we have. Because that capital W world is made up of a lot of smaller W worlds that every one of us in here, without exaggeration, has a direct impact on every day. Your world, what you live in. What about changing the world of your clients, of your company, of your community, of your neighborhood, of your family, one person in your family, for that matter? These things do add up. They're no less noble. And they roll into something really huge. Let me give you a great example of this. You heard Margaret mention it just at the outset this morning. The Oceanside Promise is a bold and blatant disregard for normal constraints in order to change the world for the better. What world? Well, first of all, the world of Oceanside community. Beyond that, the world of the entire education system through the example that gets set here. This is such an audacious statement, and the audacity in this, to me, is in the word all. The audacity of all. All of our students will graduate. All of our students will graduate career and college ready. The audacity of Dwayne Coleman to even put this on the table is significant. So what is your world-changing, audacious idea? It doesn't have to be the big world, but the world in which you live. So are you with me on this? I mean, do you think this is where we should be, is thinking about how we're going to change the world? If you are, just kind of nod your head. Just let me know. Okay, good. So here's the issue that I think we all have with this. As you can imagine, when I travel around, and I'm sure Stedman and anybody else who does similar work travels around, we ask big questions like this, and we see people nodding their heads in agreement. There's a lot of agreement, a lot of head nodding going on, but not a lot of world changing happening. So there seems to be a gap between our intent, our aspiration, and our actions. And I think there are a lot of reasons, and I'm not a psychotherapist, I think there are a lot of reasons that get in our own way. But there is one that I've seen from a leadership perspective, and a leadership research perspective, and a leadership experience perspective, that I think is fairly universal. There's one big reason that we don't follow through on our own audacious intent. And that, simply put, is fear. It scares us. And what I'm going to suggest to you is that it should. It should. Changing the world is a scary thing. It's kind of fear and exhilaration all mixed up together, and the problem is that we interpret the experience of fear as a sign that something is wrong. And what I'm going to suggest to you is that oftentimes it's actually a sign that something is right. I believe that we should live in pursuit of the OSM. Now, let me explain what I mean here by way of example. How many of you have ever been on one of these suckers? If you've ever been on a roller coaster, raise your hand. Keep your hands up just for a second, okay? Keep your hands up if you don't love roller coasters. Keep your hands up, okay? So you've been on them and you don't love them. Are we with you so far? Keep your hands up. How many of you have been on a roller coaster more than once whose hands are up? You've been on a roller coaster, you don't love them, and yet you've done it again. All right, so my question to you is why? And oftentimes, I think it's peer pressure, right? It's either your friends or more likely it's that little person that's dragging you along. So imagine this scene. You're being dragged onto the roller coaster by the little one. Maybe it's your own kid or a niece or a nephew or a friend or whatever. And you step up to the back of that long snaking line and you see the roller coaster way in the distance. And from back here, you're in. It's okay. You're a little nervous, but you're happy to be with the little one. And they're dragging you along. They're chattering away. And you're kind of chattering back. And you got this big, beautiful, warm smile on your face because life is good with the little one. And then as you're getting closer to the roller coaster, you begin to hear something. What do you begin to hear? Screams. You hear screams in the distance, and suddenly your smile starts to change. Doesn't it? It's like, now it's a forced smile. It's like, oh man, what have I signed up for? And the closer you get to the roller coaster, you see the effects of the roller coaster. In other words, you see the people getting off. Right, who's lost all the color in their face, and their hair's blown back. And by the time you get up to the front of the line, the little one is still chattering away. Your heart's already starting to go, and your mouth is dry, and you realize you haven't said a word for the last 10 minutes. You've gone deathly silent, and you're just trying to keep yourself there without losing it. You make it up to the front of the line, the car pulls up, right? A train of roller coaster cars pulls up, and aren't you the lucky one? You get the first one, right? First one in line. The safety bars open up. All the people on the roller coaster with their eyes spinning in their head get off the other side, and really what you want to do is step into the roller coaster and just step right through and follow them out of there and say, oh, that was great. But you can't, because the little one slides in first, sits down and says, come on, sit down. And so, you're, okay. So you sit down next to the little one, and you hear behind you, right, the attendant coming by and pushing all those bars into place. You hear that click, 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 and then they get up to yours, and it's, they always have that sinister look on their face, like, have fun, click, click, and you're locked in. And you're white-knuckling it, right? Like that's going to make any difference. And I don't know what it is about roller coasters, but they all start the same way. They start with that jerk. It's like the thing is laughing at you, right? And then something else about roller coasters that seems to be universal, they all start with the great ascent. So you start climbing up into the sky. And again, you haven't said anything now for quite a long time, and now you're trying to give yourself a pep talk because this is a done deal one way or the other. So you're looking and you see the world spreading out in front of you, and it's like, well, the view is lovely from up here. Is that something? And you get up to the top of the hill, you go over the crest, and then the brakes give way, gravity takes over, you start plummeting to the earth at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and suddenly you find your voice again, right? Your mouth opens up and you hear yourself screaming, and there are two words that come screaming out of your mouth. What are they?
No shit.
Oh, shit! Right? M stands for moment. You got the idea? You see where I'm going with this? So what I'm suggesting is that the OSM is a natural thing. The OSM is the built-in indicator that we have as human beings that we're doing or about to do something that has extraordinary potential to it. Now, the roller coaster is a nice image and all that because it kind of gets into the experience, but really this is something that we experience all the time. It's part of the human drama, isn't it? I mean, think about any time that you've taken on something big in your life or your career. Maybe it was a move or a new project, a new responsibility, and it made perfect sense. On paper, it looked great. But when it came time to actually do the thing, tell me there was no OSM there. You're an entrepreneur, you experience that every day, right? Of course there is. It's a natural part of the process. Or anytime you've made a big commitment to another human being, as much as you believed in that commitment or believed in that other human being, when it came time to actually follow through with your actions, tell me there was no OSM there. Of course there was. As much as you wanted to do it, there's still the OSM. I'll give you a very simple example. How many of you are married? Think back for a moment to your wedding day. Tell me there was no OSM on your wedding day. Sure, this is the love of your life and all that. I get it. But you tell me that when you were saying I do, you weren't also thinking, oh shit, I mean, tell me that wasn't happening. It's a natural part of the process. I know it is. I've had that experience twice, as a matter of fact. But most important, the OSM is part of the leadership experience. So let me put this a couple of different ways. There's no such thing as real leadership, otherwise known as extreme leadership, without the frequent experience of the OSM. If you're not experiencing the OSM at some frequency in the context of your leadership endeavors at work or anywhere else, you're not there yet. It's very counterintuitive, but push it to the point where it scares you a little bit. Now you know you're in the game. And this is tough because we're hardwired to run away from the OSM. It used to be interpreted as a sign that something was wrong, but instead, what I'm suggesting is that in the right context, move towards it. It's a sign that something is right. Which leads us to the greatest OSM generator that we can ask. This is not a rhetorical question number 3. How are we going to change the world? I'm asking you to put this on the table. When Dr. Coleman took over as superintendent of Oceanside Unified and put this on the table, how are we going to change the world? All children will graduate career college ready. What is your OSM generator in terms of changing the world? And then when you start to experience that churning in your gut, and listen, if you have a chance to talk to Dwayne, he will tell you that there's several a day. And that's the way it should be. It's a good thing. It's a matter of reframing it. And I will say this, all of this is fun to talk about, it's easy to talk about, it's easy to ask this question, but it's much easier to ask than it is to answer. Still, we have to ask it, otherwise it'll never get answered. And it's much easier to answer than it is to do something about. Nonetheless, we still have to do something about it. And this is where the proverbial rubber meets the road. We need to prove that we mean what we say. Prove it. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. I'm just going to appeal to your common sense. Because we've called this any number of things over the years. We've called it walk your talk. We've called it put your money where your mouth is. Somebody mentioned it earlier, lead by example. Jim Kouzes and Barry Posner, co-authors of the Leadership Challenge, my other significant mentors in my life, had a very lovely cross-cultural, universal way of putting the same thing. They called it simply Dwizzywid, is how you pronounce that, which stands for what, would you guess? Do what you say you will do. Do what you say you will do. It's the congruence between our words and our actions. You know, this word, it's a very popular word nowadays, accountability. Have you heard that one? The way I typically hear it used is, accountability is that thing that we desperately want other people to take. So these people need to be more accountable, which may be true. But this proof is about holding ourselves accountable to our own words, because that's how we prove to other people that we mean what we say. It's easy to make the words come out of our mouth, but following through on the actions and commitments. Because if I say one thing and do another, at the very least I'm going to confuse you, and at the very worst I'm going to completely disengage you and turn you into a cynic, and you won't follow me anywhere. So, our last non-rhetorical question that I have for you this morning, and Stefan's going to take you through his work here in just a bit, is this. This is really the ultimate kind of fundamental question. Do I really want to do this? I think this is always a good question to ask ourselves, no matter what it is that we're engaged in. But in this context, by this, I mean this. I mean cultivate love, generate energy, inspire audacity, be an extreme leader, try to change the world. Do I really want to do this? So I'm not asking you if you understand it. Of course you do. I'm not asking you if there are any good ideas here. I know there are. I'm not asking you if you think this is, something to aspire to. Yeah, of course. I'm asking you if you really want to do this. And if the answer is no, that's cool. Then, what you're getting here this morning is entertainment. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if the answer is yes, what are the first steps to take? And I've been, in my opinion anyway, there's lots of steps, but in my opinion, good first steps to take are the questions I've been posing to you all morning. Start asking yourself those questions. Why do I love this work? What do we really do here? How are we going to change the world? And then you can come up with all kinds of other questions. What can I turn into my next OSM? Turn these things into simple questions. Don't try to come up with a big, long list of things to do. Ask yourself the right questions. The things to do will come. The other thing is, I have an invitation for you. If you want some more ideas, you want to go in depth, because I know our time is very limited this morning, I have an audio series available to you. All you have to do is text that short code, 33444. Text the word audios, plural, to that short code. And what I need you to know is, it'll come to you in an autoresponder. It's all set up automatically. But it comes to you from my email address. So if you hit reply, it comes directly to me. So we can, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, emotional outbursts, stories that you'd like to share, you want to get some input on something, my promise to you is that I will respond. It might take me some time, but I will respond. And I invite you to do that. I know this is going to sound pathetic, but that's how I make friends nowadays. So take advantage of this if you'd like. Now, we're going to take a break here in a minute, but let me give you one last thing to think about. I know that our focus here this morning has been geared towards business, but it should be pretty obvious that leadership is a universal thing, and these practices of love, energy, audacity, and proof can be applied anywhere. And I know this because of the people that I've heard from over the years, who are not business people, but they're teachers, they're educators, they're ministers, they're students. And I was getting input from outside the world of business from the very early stages of putting my thoughts together. Margaret mentioned that my books are novels, and they take place here in San Diego, in Mission Beach primarily, because that's where I first lived when I moved to San Diego in 1998. And on one day, I was sitting, and this is, as one of my favorite humorists, Dave Barry, would say, I am not making this up. I was on the beach, in Mission Beach, one day, thinking about leadership. because I was in the early days of writing the book and I was collecting my thoughts. And I'm sitting on the beach and I'm thinking about leadership. Are you with me so far? And out of nowhere, this young woman comes up to me, which was not a common occurrence, I have to say. And she had a clipboard in her hand, which was also a bit unusual. And she looked down at me and she said, "Excuse me, sir, would you mind answering a question for me?" I said, "I don't know. It depends what the question is." She said, "The question is, what is leadership?" Come on, man. Tell me you don't think that's bizarre. It was like the Twilight Zone. And I stood up and I took a step back. I said, "What? Why did you ask me that?" And I explained to her what I'm doing. She's looking into my brain. It was very odd. And then she thought it was as freaky as I did. She explained to me that she was taking a business class at the University of San Diego, and as part of her research project, she was conducting a survey on the beach, right? So now I'm looking at the surfers over there, and the skaters going by on the boardwalk, and the people lying in the sun, and I'm thinking, well, how are they answering that question? Because she's asking everybody to answer this question. So I said, "Listen, I'll tell you what, I'll make you a deal. I'll write you something, really profound and snappy. But in exchange for that, you have to show me the other results that you're getting here on the beach." She said, "Okay, good deal." So she handed me a little card. I wrote something, tremendously helpful, I'm sure. And then I cashed in. She gave me her little stack of cards. She had them organized by gender, age, and occupation, and then a place to answer the question, what is leadership? Ended up becoming part of the opening chapter in The Radical Leap, and I thought it'd be a good way for us to close out our first session here this morning with some words of wisdom on leadership from Mission Beach. You guys ready? Okay, here we go. Gender female, age 24, occupation sales. What is leadership? Organizing people around a common goal. It's pretty good, right? Gender male, age 26, occupation programmer. What is leadership? Standing up for what you believe in. Gender female, age 28, occupation marketing. What is leadership? Sticking your neck out when it's the right thing to do. And this is the way it went. Card after card of really good, thoughtful, insightful, and, in my opinion, accurate descriptions of leadership. And then I got to the one that, to me, pretty much said it all. Gender male, age 23, occupation unemployed. What is leadership? If I knew I'd have a job. Thank you very much, folks. Thanks for being here. All right. So we've got a big treat for you. The little short guy back there, Stedman, is gonna take over. But first of all, we're gonna take just a quick stretch break. All right, we still have a lot to do this morning, so let's keep it to 10 minutes. All right. So look at your watch, look at your clock, look at your phone. Add 10 minutes to whatever it says on there, and that's the time we'll start again.
Go ahead and select. I know, right? You can't look. Val Brown.
Hey!
Look at Gamester, fun. Oh, wait a minute. Yes, that's you? There you go. Okay, give it up for, what's her name? Nikki. Nikki, give it up for Nikki. Nice, Nikki. First, which one would you like? Okay, there you go. All right, and please get up for the speaker you are. For your presence. So incredibly honored. Dr. Dwayne Coleman. We got to celebrate you and your vision and everything we're up to.
Exactly why I came here to talk today. I was reflecting on all the talks I've been getting, and the one thing that I just keep, when I kind of look at, I or somebody out there looking at me, is I am very passionate about Oceanside. And people who know me know I'm very passionate about Oceanside. And so I'm always looking at how can we be better in Oceanside. Not just the school district. How can we be better? And this is a part of that. This is the first step. This is the first year. And what I'm hoping is that in this first year, we kind of look at what we're doing, that next year if we decide to have this here, or we decide this to have it in our new beautiful Oceanside High School Performing Arts Center, which is a $23 million project that should be done around this time, we hope, next year. Whether we do it, I want to see places packed. And I want people to believe in what we're doing with the Oceanside Promise, with the Youth Success Week, because those are intertwined. They're not separate, and they both support each other. But the overall, the broad vision of this is about our families and our students in Oceanside. Not just the Oceanside School District students and families, all of our families. We talk about college and career. You will only get 100% college and career ready students if you have support in the home. And if you neglect that support, you will get better at those percentages, but you will never get 100% because you won't have that support in the home that some of you had, and some of you in here know what it's like to not have it. I had very capable parents. They raised 5 kids. We didn't talk about college as a mandate, a career as a mandate. But when I left high school, I knew that my choice was not to go home and go to bed. My choice, I better set up someplace to go to college. That wasn't the type of discussions that we had. Well, my parents loved me and they worked hard. But there were some things that I know my parents may have needed or have heard things. So that conversation did happen at our dinner table. And so that's the goal. This is the first year. This is a 20, 30 plus year endeavor. And this is the foundation and this is the groundwork this year. So I appreciate you all as business owners taking the time. I will ask that if you really believe in what we're doing, that you talk to your peers. And if they truly are sincere and genuine about doing what's best for our families and students. Along with that comes people that have more money, better homes, businesses trying to get in the community, and people going to your businesses and spending their dollars because they have the dollars to go to your businesses. And we want to make sure that our families have that. So you hear a lot about college and career, but I want you to not forget it's the family structure that is a focus, a major focus, because when we win there, everybody will win, not just our kids. Everybody in the community, this entire community will improve and get better. So thank you very much for being here. And I really
All right. Thank you, Dr. Coleman, for coming in and gracing us with your presence today. He's such a treat and such a transformational leader, and we are so grateful to have him in our school district. Okay, so now it is time for our next speaker, and as you know, Stedman Graham is an incredibly incredibly high-profile person. And what I admire about Stedman is that he's his own man, and that he is passionate, and he is committed, and he's out there making the world a better place with his incredible body of work. And his body of work is called identity development. So please give a huge round of applause for Stedman Graham.
Thank you, Margaret. I want to thank you for those great words. It's fantastic. Steve, great job. Man. Great work. Around extreme leadership, which I think is so important. I am so happy to be here. I've been to San Diego County, been coming here about 35 years. Never really knew Oceanside. And so I got a chance to work here through K's and glad to be a part of this project. written 11 books around identity, leadership, and development. 3 bestsellers. Fortunate to be able to put 3 bestsellers on the Times bestsellers list. I am very serious about my work because when we talk about identity development, we really are talking about self-mastery. Self-mastery. And when I think about self-mastery, I think about how do you master yourself? Isn't that an interesting question? How do you actually master yourself? And ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know this, it's not even set up for you to master yourself. It's almost impossible for you to be empowered to master yourself. I mean, nobody wants you to master yourself. Why? What happens when you begin to master yourself? When you begin to master yourself, what happens, Val? You become powerful. Who wants you to become powerful? When you begin to master yourself, what else happens? John? You start feeling good. Boy, they will put a lot of people out of business if you started feeling good, wouldn't they? I mean, look at all of the medicines and the pharmacies. They would be all out of business if you started to feel good. So what happens? What happens? Why don't they want you to master yourself? What are some of the other reasons? Barbara? Control. Boy, that's another big one. Nobody wants you to have control. They want you to do what? They want you to be a slave.
Word.
And what's a slave do? You do what you're told to do. And all you do is work. What, ladies and gentlemen? All you do is work. Word, 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 word. 1% run the country. Everybody else is following. I just want you to follow. I don't want you to create any kind of self-mastery. I don't want you to know who you are. I don't want you to be able to take information, education, make it relevant to your purpose in life, transfer it to your mind so you can actually be a thinking human being. I don't want you to think. That's why I set up an educational system that teaches you what? How to memorize, take tests, repeat the information back, you get labeled with a grade. If I ask the student what they learned 2 weeks later, what would they say? Nothing. And then you come out with a degree that says what? You've been in school a long time and you deserve a what?
Degree.
Job. And you have a job, but you have no life. And all you do is work. And then you retire at 65 and do what? You thought you could retire in the 21st century, and now you have to do what? Go back to work. And all you do is work, 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 work. And you never get a chance to know yourself, engage yourself, empower yourself. You don't even have a personal relationship with yourself because you're too busy slaving, giving everything away to everybody else. And in the end, you have no more in the end than you had in the beginning. And so the system is not designed for you, ladies and gentlemen, unless you have what? Steve talked about, unless you have extreme leadership. Which means what? Extreme leadership means what? You cannot be normal in a system that's set up for slavery. In a system that's average. It only produces average people. What we're doing here is not average. You don't have an average superintendent. That's not average. Margaret's not average. They're working, thinking, developing, building, creating every single day. You cannot be average. How many people in the world are average? There's 7 billion people in the world. How many are average? John? And John, thanks for the work that you do. Marilyn, you cannot be average, and 99% of the people are what? Average. And you want a what? You want a 21st century model that says what? That we're going to be the best we can be. How can you possibly be the best you can be in the average world where you have most of the people in that world average? That's why leadership is so important. It just takes one. Gandhi. Just takes one. King. Just takes one. Kennedy. Who's not what? Who's not average? Hard not to be average when you wake up in the morning, you wash your face, you brush your teeth, you get something to eat, you get the kids out to school, you work all day, you come home in the afternoon, you spend time with the family, you watch TV, you go to bed, maybe you dream. That's Monday. Then on Tuesday, wake up in the morning, you wash your face, you brush your teeth, you get something to eat, get the kids out to school, work all day, come home in the afternoon, spend time with the family, you watch TV, you go to bed, maybe you dream. That's Tuesday. Hard not to be average when on Wednesday you wake up in the morning, you wash your face, you brush your teeth, you get something to eat, you get the kids out to school, you work all day, you come home in the afternoon, you spend time with the family, you watch TV, you go to bed, maybe you dream. That's Wednesday. Then on Thursday, here comes Thursday. What do we do on Thursday, Steve? Wake up in the morning, we'll wash your face, you brush your teeth, you get something to eat, get the kids out of school, work all day, come home in the afternoon, spend time with the family, watch TV, you go to bed, maybe you dream. That's Thursday. And on Friday, what do? Guess what? It's Friday. And we're still waking up in the morning and washing up, wash our face, brush our teeth, get something to eat, get the kids out of school, work all day, come home in the afternoon, spend time with the family, watch TV, go to bed, maybe they dream. That's Friday. We go to happy hour on Friday evening. And on Saturday, what do? We take a shower. We get the kids out to activities. And we figure out we're going to go shopping, and we're going to go downtown Oceanside, and we're going to hang out. We're going to go to the beach. Saturday night we go out to dinner, whatever the case may be. Sunday, a lot of people go to church, we eat chicken dinner in the afternoon. We get ready for what? For slave work the rest of the week. Working. Did you ever take time out to do what? The THINK. You ever thought about yourself? Do you ever think about you? Who you can be? What you can create? How great can you be? What you can do for society? You ever think about that? Because if you thought about that, what would happen? You know, it costs a lot not to do nothing. You don't do anything, what happens? It costs you not to be great. It costs your family not to go within the finite your talents and your skills and your passions and your ability. It costs your legacy. It will cost you when you're always looking on the outside as opposed to looking on the inside. If you're looking for freedom on the outside, you'll never find it. If you're looking for opportunity on the outside, you'll never find it. If you're looking for the goal on the outside, you'll never find it. Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz said, where is it? It's in the what? All I have to do is click my heels. You already have it. The freedom and the goal and the opportunity, it's not on the outside, it's on the what? It's on the inside. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a development issue. It's about development. You can't develop in a system that's set up for what? For average workers. And Steve said you have to be extreme. And then the world says, man, they don't know where they're going. They're lost. So I can just tell you anything. Because I get a chance to control your mind. Barbara, I get a chance to just control you. And limit you based on the information I give you. And then some people take the information and they say, you know what? I've been told all of my life I can't make it because of the color of my skin. Wow. I've been programmed all of my life. My parents have been programmed. And information has been passed down through generation to generation to generation. And I'm limited because of the way I live. I dealt with it. I had a race-based consciousness. I can't make it because of the color of my skin. I can't make it because of white man. I can't make it because of this. I can't make it because of that. Well, it took me 31 years before I realized, your problem is, I was traveling around the world with this guy named Bob Brown. We were going all around the world, having to work for him. I realized that people of color were making it happen all around the world. I lived in this small town, all black town surrounded by a white community where they said nothing ever good comes out of white work. And I realized through that experience, you got it wrong. It's not about the color of your skin. Your problem is you don't know who you are. And then the world says, when you don't know who you are, I can define you by your gender. And it says that women, you can't make it because it's a man's world. How many women around the world bought into that box? Bought into that label. And then the world defines you by your family. It might have said to your family, son or daughter, you might have had your father or mother say to the son or daughter, you're nothing, never going to be anything. Bought into that. I grew up with a family with 2 disabled brothers in my family, ladies and gentlemen. Tough thing to deal with. You want to deal with something? Deal with that. And I used to have to fight every single day when I was growing up. And I grew up with low self-esteem, with a lack of confidence, and I had a lot of shame in my family. And the only thing that saved me, y'all don't know this, but I worked in the prison system for 5 years. I didn't say I was in the prison system for 5 years. I want y'all going back to say, I heard he was in the prison system for 5 years. Now he's speaking in Oceanside. He's torn. And so I was in the prison system for 5 years, but there's no question with the rage. You know how much rage you have when you're angry? Mad, frustrated every single day. You had to fight every single day as a kid. How much rage you get from that? With the rage I had, there's no question, except for one thing, I played basketball. I would have been in prison in that system. But I played basketball. And basketball was what? It gave me enough confidence to be able to believe in myself. I was a pretty good basketball player, let me tell you. All state, eventually I played European Pro League a number of years. And I never will forget, I had a defining moment in my life. And it was a big one. I was about 14 or 15 years of age. Pretty good ball player. I grew up in this small town. We had one store in the town. That's a small town. The guy that owned the store, his name was Mr. T.A. We used to all hang out at Mr. T.A.'s. We were going to hang out at Mr. T.A.'s, Mr. T.A.'s, Mr. T.A.'s. So I'm 14 or 15 years of age, and I'm down at Mr. T.A.'s, and I'm a bragger. I'm bragging to folks all the time. I'm going to college. I'm going to college. I play ball. So Mr. T.A. was behind the counter one Saturday morning, and I saw him, and he saw me, and I'm down there with my buddies. And I say to him, I said, Mr. T.A., guess what? I'm going to college. I'm going to college, Mr. T.A. And I never will forget his look. He looked at me, and I looked at him, and he said, son, you're not going to no college. Your family's too stupid. Good you know. And you know, you looked up to an adult all of your life. It's the only store that you go to in town. And you grew up with him and you see him all your life. And he says to you, what all these kids have been teasing you about for all my life, you're not going to no college, your family's too stupid. And I was sad for a long time, ladies and gentlemen. Really sad. And then one day something came over me, and I got it. And I promised myself, as long as I live, I said, you know what? I'll fix you, Mr. Pierre. Let me get you back. I'm going to go to college. And I'm going to get my degree. And I'm going to bring it back to you. I'm going to show you that I'm so. Ladies and gentlemen, I went to college, and man, we go away on a road trip. The guys would come home tired, and we go away at home, we play ball. They go to bed. And if I had a test the next day, I would stay up all night long studying because the only thing that was on my mind, I didn't care about basketball. The only thing I cared about was making sure I got that degree. So I bring it back, show Mr. T. So, finally graduated. It was a great day. I don't know about everything, but I graduated. I got that degree. I got that degree though. And then I said, you know what? I'm not finished with you yet, Mr. T. I'm going to go get my master's. I got my master's degree, served U.S. Army 11 years, worked in the prison system 5 years, played ball here, and I and still didn't know what I was. The world defines you. I met a woman in Chicago, moved to Chicago through the prison system from Colorado. Her name was Oprah. I haven't heard of her before. Talk show for 25 years. Now she's got a magazine. And she's got the Weight Watchers thing around the country. She's doing a great job with that. And I'm in a relationship with a very powerful woman. And every time I step out the door, people define me by my relationship. So let's just talk about it now. Let's talk about the process. Defined by my race. Defined by my community. Defined by as a ball player. I'm defined by my brothers. I'm defined by all of these labels. And what I realized from all that experience is that, oh, I get it. I understand it. If you're looking for freedom, you'll never find it on the outside. If you're looking for freedom, freedom is only on the inside. I'm looking the wrong way. I'm trying to find all the answers on the outside. You won't find any answers on the outside. And what I learned is that it's not how the world defines you. The most important thing is how you what? Define yourself. And that's what identity is all about. It's self-mastery. Your ability to define yourself based on organizing all the resources and information and education and making it relevant to who? You, in the 24 hours that you have every single day, which is the only thing that makes you equal, you got 24 hours. Forget all the labels. Everybody's got 24 hours. The question is what? Are you organized in the 24 hours that you have? Are you focused on the 24 hours that you have? Do you have good habits? Are you doing what you're supposed to do based on what Steve talked about, which is love? Are you passionate about your work in the 24 hours? You know, are you able to understand the value of information and education? Are you really thinking in the 24 hours that you have? Or are you more on what? Automatic pilot, doing what everybody else wants you to do except yourself? So if you have any problems, all you got to do is look toward what? Self. All you have to do is organize self. All you have to do is develop self. Build self. Stop looking for the outside world to determine what? Your potential based on yourself. We don't ever get to self. But there's a process for that because we're not taught to do it. We're just taught to work, ladies and gentlemen, not to create a vision beyond ourselves, not to have a plan, not to have a value system, not to build a team. So we have to get back to self-development. It's a self-development issue. If you want to get beyond race, it's self-development. If you want to get beyond gender, it's self-development. If you want to get beyond class, it's self-development. The more you have, the more you can give. You can't give anything until you have something. The value that you give yourself is the value the world gives you. The world sees you only as you see yourself. I don't see myself worth anything because I don't read anything. I don't read, I don't learn. I'm not a learner, I'm not a developer, I'm not a builder. Impossible to learn based on the way the system is set up. The system is not set up for you to learn. So you have to do what? You have to have extreme leadership, or you have to do what? You have to have an intervention. Which says you've got to be taken out of that system and create your own learning process so you can what? So you can develop yourself. Otherwise, you're going to be limited in your potential. It will never happen. And the reason you have 99% of the people moving backwards is why? Because they're not learners. They're not learning anything. So you have the middle class moving backwards because they can't keep up with 21st century changes based on technology. Everything is changing. So unless you what? Unless you stay ahead of the curve, unless you are a learner, unless you only have your own process for development, you're going to be like what? You're going to drink the same water everybody else is drinking and you're going to be average. And you're going to wonder why, well, what happened? I can't make any money. Oh, what happened? Wages are going down. What happened? Government controls everything. What happened? Oceanside should be what? The greatest community in the country. Based on what I see. Location, 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 location. You don't get that. Okay, everybody's trying to get where? The Oceanside. Based on what? The ocean flowing up to your what? To your house. Please. You couldn't get any better than this. Drive down right to the ocean. Drive down to the ocean. So you could never develop, you will always be average unless you develop what? An educational process that teaches young people how to take information, education, make it relevant to their talents, to their skills, to their abilities, to their passions, so they can create their own ownership, own their own voice, take charge of their own development, so they can what? So they can be a productive citizen of Oceanside and the United States. We don't get that. And the first step is you have to know who you are. And that's based on what Steve talked about. Based on the most powerful word in the world, which is what? I hope y'all heard what he was talking about, right? He talked about what?
Love.
Love. That's the key. That's the foundation for what? For passion. Otherwise, Dr. Coleman could get up here and talk about what? What he's talking about. Trying to do what? Trying to make sure that everybody graduates. It's called passion. It's called what? Without passion, what happens? Steve talked about you have no energy. Without energy, what happens? Law of attraction says whatever you put out, you get back. You put out low energy, you get back what? Nobody wants to deal with you because you're boring. You have no energy. If your young people are doing drugs, what happens? They have it for a little while, but what? After that, they're hooked. You lose the foundation of your development as a community when you don't take care of your young people. Chicago. It becomes counterproductive. If you don't take care of young people, you have nothing. Because they're going to come back and do what? Haunt you. Take you out. That's the foundation of your development, is working with your young people to try to get them what? Educated so they can be productive, so they can take your place when we get older. Try that in your family. Don't take care of your young people in your family, your kids in your family, and see what happens. Don't educate them and see what happens. So that's why this is so important. And Oceanside is a community, I'm getting off on this a little bit. Oceanside is a community small enough to be able to do what? Knock on every door. You need help? Greatest country in the world, America. We have the resources. All you got to do is take them and apply them to Oceanside. You got to know who you are. It's based on organizing love, organizing all your passions, all your skills, all your talents, all your abilities. So I'm going to have a little exercise up here. I need about 6 people up front. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right? Okay, don't come on. I need a timer. Who can time? Who has a... I need 2 counters. Can you all count? Okay. Now what we're going to do is this. So, the essence of development is love. There's only 2 choices in life. It's either negative or positive, good or bad, will or won't, can or can't. Only 2. Every day you get to choose one. One is what? One is the lack of success, and the other one is success. Hate is what? Negative, right? It's going to get you what? Nothing. Love is what? Success, positive, is going to get you what? Everything. So our challenge is to do what? Focus on one or the other. Every time you choose hate, you're what? The law of attraction says whatever you put out, you get back. So you're not going to get success with hate and negativity and looking at the glass half empty as opposed to half full. So you got to force yourself, even though you might have had a tough childhood, you know, the basis of your foundation, of your thinking, of your spirit is negative. You got to be able to force yourself to change that from negative to positive. Otherwise, what's going to happen? You're going to have a negative life. Okay? So, we're going to focus on love. We're going to develop a positive identity, not a negative identity. And the focus is love, right? Right? There we go. So what we want you to do, this is the contest, we want you to name everything you love in 30 seconds. 30 seconds, name everything you love. Now, the record for this is 52. 52 things in 30 seconds. Don't worry about breaking the record. So, in the counters, you're going to count, right? If y'all want to come over here, maybe see. Timer, put on that 30 seconds, John. And I'm going to give you the mic.
Wow.
Kelly.
Okay.
Okay? So, you understand what we're doing?
I understand.
Okay, got it. Okay, here we go. And I'll just start you, John. Here we go.
I love joy, peace, not yet.
John, you ready? Yes. Okay, count is ready? Ready?
Yes.
Count, you doing it, Kelly?
Yes.
Kelly, ready? Go.
Okay. I love myself. I love peace, joy, my family, the ocean, the birds, animals, people, counseling, engaging, empowering people, being in activities like this, learning, playing games, laughing, being a leader, engaging with new people, learning, happiness. Oh my gosh, this is so hard. I love. Thank you. Blessings. Thank you.
How many?
I got 27.
27. 27 is good. Fantastic. Sylvia, ready? Go.
My husband Peter, my son Orlando, my son Sebastian, myself, Ken beside me, my life, Joy, the ocean, Oceanside, my boobs, Kelly, my job, my clients, my lunch date, my Menschen trinken, the sunshine, the palm trees, the beach, my hair, my right toe, my left toe, my laughter, my voice, my language, my Germanness, my craziness, my foundation, knowing that who I am. I love this organization, I love Oceanside, I love Drain, I love you, I love you.
Ready? Go.
I love myself, I love Stedman, love Steve Barber, love my eyes, love my wife, love my family, love the mountains, love skiing, love snowboarding, love running, walking, jogging, love being happy, love connecting with everybody, love David, love my daughters, love my 11 grandchildren, love the sky, love God. Love life. Thank you.
Ready? Go.
I love my husband, daughter, son-in-law, Lucky Louie. I love my house. I love where I live. I love Oceanside, Carlsbad, North County. I love the ocean. I love downhill skiing, stand-up paddleboarding, boogie boarding, walking on the beach, breakfast at Banacas. I love tacos, chocolate. I love my earrings, my necklaces. I love my life. I love me. I love where I grew up. I love my friends.
23. Okay. Ready? Go.
I love Nikki J, I love Emma Rose, I love America, I love Encinitas, I love working, I love engagement, I love Da Vinci, I love connecting with people, I love chocolate, I love people, I love leadership, I love community, I love all the little children, all the teens that we speak to, business and entrepreneurs and business owners. I love the people who have stood up and made a difference in this country to change the world. I love the way that we work together. I love connection, I love networking, I love marketing, sales, and I love my wife's boobs.
Great job. Wow. 23, okay, fantastic. So I think 27?
I think she
Oh, you had 33, okay, fantastic, great job. Okay, great job. Now, y'all stay up here. First off, I see Bobby DePorter. Is she here? Bobby DePorter. She's founder of this movement we're creating here. And so thank round of applause for her. So why do we do this? Who wants to answer that? Why is this important?
To focus on what's positive. To focus on what's positive so we all connect around the joy of what we love.
So this is important to focus on what's positive so that we connect to who? To ourselves. And you got to be able to be conscious of doing that, because if you're not conscious of that, what happens? You just work and work and work and work, and you never explore yourself. So what we want to be able to do is we want to put down everything we love in our life. Organize it, develop it, build it, and then take information and education and do what? And this little thing right here that we use for what? What do we use this for?
Everything.
Nothing. All we do is what? What we do with this? We just work and work and work and work, right? But we never take this information and apply it to ourselves or develop ourselves, because we're both busy sending signals out. I ask young people, I say, what are y'all talking about? They say, nothing. We're not talking about nothing. So we waste a lot of time by not taking the information and applying this information to what we love, what we're passionate about, what our talents are, what our skills are, so we can be what? So we can be self-masters of ourselves. So we can self-develop ourselves, so we can be the best we can be. When we become the best we can be, what happens? Everybody around us, what? Becomes the best they can be, including our kids. Your kids and our young people are only as good as our parents, our adults. So the opportunity to be able to take information and education and make it relevant to who we are every single day, and the 24 hours that we have every day allows us to grow, improve, and develop a process of continuous development. every single day. So you take one day, which is a great day, multiply it times 7, 1 week, multiply it times 4, 1 month, multiply it times 12, 1 year, and you can do what? Over a period of time, you'll be able to project your success based on the opportunity we have in the greatest country in the world. Thank y'all very so much for great job. And I'm going to end right here. So everybody got that? Got it. So the challenge is to do what? Every single day, work on self. Every single day, love yourself. Every single day, develop yourself. So the more you have, the more you can what? Give. And I'm going to end with this poem called The Victors, which I love. I carry this around by William Ernest Henley. And it says this, it says, out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I think whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstances, can I have not wince, nor cry aloud? Under the bludgeoning of chance, my head is bloody, but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade. And yet the menace of the years Kirby finds and shall find me, I'm afraid. Barbara, it matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishment the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. Thank y'all very much for the opportunity.
Mr. Stedman Graham, one more time. Thank you so much. Absolutely. Breathtaking. I love that. We have an incredible surprise for you today. I want to take a moment and acknowledge one other person. This week would not have been possible without the Oceanside Unified School District's Board of Education. And I would like to introduce to you one of our board members, Miss Emily Wichman.
Thank you. Again, welcome to our school district. We are honored to have all of you here. We've got a great treat coming. I just wanted to let you know that yes, our superintendent has a passion. I was one of the 5 that hired him, so I'm very proud of that. Also, I'm again very passionate about Oceanside. 5 generations of my family has lived here in Oceanside, and we were defined by our color and our race, and that's why they ended up in the East Side, where at that time in the 30s, the East Side was the East Side of the city. So again, this has been a great city. It's progressed so much. We've got so much diversity, so much going on, and just we're really proud of it. And we're right there to start taking on. So I want to thank you all for your coming here. And then again, we have a treat coming up. Look forward to talking about it.
Thank you, Emily. We in Oceanside are so incredibly proud of our students. Our students is what make this community so amazing. Their potential, who they are, their hearts, their souls, and their voice. We've been working on character development with our students for the last 4 years with the 8 Keys of Excellence Character Development Program. Our teachers have so much on their plates. They break down, they cry, they spend weekends, they spend nights. I drove by Reynolds Elementary School at 6 o'clock this morning. 3 teachers' cars were in the parking lot. They don't start until 9 o'clock. Our teachers' plates are so full. And when we introduced the 8 Keys of Excellence to them, they graciously agreed to start teaching these principles and living and modeling these principles in their classrooms. We love our students in Oceanside. From the top down, you saw it. You saw my superintendent, and that's how it is from the top down. From our school board members to our superintendent, to our directors, to our coordinators, to our project specialists, to our teachers, we love our kids. We love them so much, we want you to meet them. Tia, would you please welcome freshman through sophomore from Oceanside High School. Come on in, students. We're going to join you. Can you stay seated so they know where to sit? Come on in, Oceanside High School students. And keep giving them a hand, please. When they come in. Because of their socioeconomic status, because of their families being in gangs, and they don't know any other way to be. This gentleman is who they go to for love, support, encouragement, belonging. Would you please give a huge round of applause for Voon Nguyen. I'm also incredibly humbled and honored to introduce you to our third speaker that you didn't know, that wasn't on the list, because this is all a surprise to you. She is an inspirational woman who is doing amazing things globally. She is the director of an organization called Motivating the Teen Spirit. Please welcome Ms. Tia Ross.
Thank you. Good morning/afternoon, kind of, right? It feels like. So first of all, I want to acknowledge you all for choosing to do this with your time. So I recognize how you could have had choices to be in other places, but the fact that you chose to be here for this amount of time, I want to acknowledge you for that. What I do know is that where the greatest pressures are the greatest results. What I do know is wherever there's great pressure, there's greatness. What I do know is that wherever the odds are against you, the payout is great. What I do know is that wherever the pressure is great, on the other side is something that we see as a diamond. And I know that all of you adults here today can, inside of you, pinpoint a time in your life where your life didn't look the way it looks right now. I know that many of you professionals and business owners in this room had no idea. You might have had a vision, you might have had a dream, but you had no idea that you would have been successful as you are in this moment on this day. That you had a journey. And so I don't take this time for granted. I believe that all of us that are in this room are supposed to be here in this moment for this given time, because we cannot get back this hour. Think about it. In about 40 minutes or so when we're finished, we cannot get back the last 40 minutes. As a matter of fact, you just heard from Stedman and Steve, and that amount of time you can't get back. So I thought that I would just stop in for this short amount of time and disrupt everything that is supposed to be normal. Because what I know is that in order to be as successful as you are in this moment, you had to at some point step outside of what looks normal. And it's so funny because my life is like one of those lives that Margaret was talking about. It was not the norm to the mainstream of the world that was successful. As a matter of fact, the statistics against me were so great that I should not physically be standing here in front of you. What I do know is that the odds against me were so great that there is no way that I should have made it through college. There's no way that I should have owned 2 properties bi-coastal. There's no way statistically that I should have not just graduated from college, but have opened up restaurants in Atlanta, Georgia. And there's definitely no way that I should have prevented over 6,550 teen suicides to date. Statistically, I should not be standing here before you. But what qualifies me is my experiences of pressure, my experiences of moving beyond the pressure and stepping outside of the norm. Because anyone great that you know today, think about some of the people that I can name off the top of my head. You can name them off the top of your head. Think of the people in this world that have such a huge impression on this earth, from our past or our present. Whether it be that they've had some financial status or that they've reached and influenced someone, regardless of that, think about those people, the Steve Jobs, the Donald Trumps. Like, I just named the people on the top of my head. It's just coming to me in this moment that we think of. At some point, they had to be outside of the what? Norm. It's what set them apart from getting the results that they get. And while all of us see the end result, what we don't see is what happened between their success and where they started. And yet, that in-between space is what makes all the difference. And so today, we are experiencing something unique. We are combining some youth that are way over here dealing with things and have goals and dreams for their life. And we're combining some adults in this world who have come through that in-between, have come through their journey, and they've made it to this other side. Now, I'm not saying you're there yet, because I've made it over here, and I've still got goals for myself. So I do understand. However, where you sit today in your life is perfectly designed. All of your past experiences, your challenges, and your journey is designed for this very moment, adults. Because the youth that have joined us today and what we are getting ready to experience could change the trajectory of their life. I need for you to understand how important this moment is. Because something that you say, something that I say, something that we do, youth, you're not excluded. Because something that you say to us can shift us and set us on fire. You are my passion. Like, you don't even understand how much sleep I give up, how much finances I say no to, so that I can continue on this mission of getting you into your greatness sooner, quicker, faster. Because there's one thing that I realized in this formula. You do not have to wait until you are 40 and 50 before you can let that dream go that's in your mind and manifest it. Some of you youth are sitting here right now with ideas, books, inventions. You see ways to make things better. But if you follow the traditional route, you probably won't get to those things until you're about 40 or 50 and have gone through this big journey. So what's so unique about this moment is that there are some business owners, professionals, and adults in this room that could possibly be your next step into realizing some of this stuff that you have in your head sooner, quicker, faster. Because I believe that if you have this inside of you now, it's meant for this time. If you have this idea in your mind now, it's meant for this time. How many of us in this room, by show of hands, have ever thought about changing something, an invention that doesn't exist, and you put it out there, and you talked about it, you got super excited about it, and then you looked up within a month or two, and someone else had done it. And you were like, I knew that was good, and I can't, darn it. Right? And whatever that thing is that holds us from not doing it in that moment is what I'm here today to talk about. Because it's a lot of things that are in our lives to distract us. And one of the biggest distractions that we don't recognize is the direct correlation between our success and our relationships. I'm going to say it again.
Word.
One of the biggest pieces that distract us or that become something that sometimes gets in the way of us being even further in what we're trying to get is our direct correlation to our relationships. So if this were a training and I had a board up here and I could draw this circle of life and I could carve out all the different areas of our life, spiritual, physical, mental, finance, right? Health. If I can put relationships, if I can put that on a wheel, one of the things that's directly related all the time when I do this is finance. And you look on the opposite side of the wheel that is directly related to it is relationships. Relationships, emotion, all the stuff that we go through throughout the day that sometimes causes a distraction that we're not paying attention to. And so what is unique about this moment that we're getting ready to do is we're going to try something a little bit different. Because what I know is that in order to get something different, we got to do something what? Different. So I'm just here to facilitate. I'm not going to lecture you. I'm not going to talk to you. I'm simply here to facilitate a process today. And let's see what miracles are on the other side of 30 minutes. Okay? So the first step of doing something different is I'm going to ask you guys to get into groups. And since there's way more adults than there are youth, we're going to have to do this in a particular way. So I didn't count the number off the top of my head, but I think we have 20 youth. 24. So we have 24 youth. So what I'm going to have you do, I'm going to have all the youth stand up. You're going to take your chairs. Now listen to instructions. You're going to take your chairs and you're going to, by yourself, sit around the room. So you should just see 24 youth sitting around this gym by yourself. So get a chair and just pick a spot around the gym. Move quickly on the count. So, okay, let's get quiet quick because I love doing this. So this is what I call a teachable moment. We're going to have these for the next 30 or 40 minutes. This is what I call a teachable moment. That this means real live in this moment experiencing something. Okay? It's experiential. So notice how when someone asks you to do something that's a little uncomfortable, what your natural reaction is. Teachable moment. Are you naturally sitting next to someone that you know? Did you naturally not spread out because no one came onto this side of the room and that is all available to us? Anything is available and everything is possible, but sometimes we limit ourselves and it's just a teachable moment. It's just funny how we naturally gravitate and follow each other when the instructions are to just grab your chair and pick a spot in the room, which is cool. It's no right or wrong. It's just a teachable moment. So like this side is going to have to spread out. You guys have to go on this side because these adults are going to join you in a minute. So you guys spread out. That's the first thing. Adults and leaders in the room, I want to speak to you because this is something that I've learned to take on for myself. And it's kind of a barometer that I use inside to gauge where I'm at as a leader. And one of those barometers is ask yourself this question. When someone asks you or something comes up to you that makes you, I don't know, a little uncomfortable. Maybe some of you are professionals and you're in a profession. And something comes across that email and it just gets under your skin. But you know you got to do it. Same thing with some of you business owners. You know, some of these there's times those areas you got to stretch but you don't feel like it. Pay attention to your initial reaction. Because your initial reaction is a direct correlation to how ready you are for the next level. Very crucial. I use this for myself. It's self-exploration. I do this for myself. I have CEOs, CFOs, people around me, and I may see something one way and they see something a different way. And pay attention to how you initially respond. Because a lot of times your initial response is where you are in terms of going to the next level. So if your initial response is to be open, not judge, not be so quick to get your point across. You are probably ready for the next level. If your initial reaction is to defend, hide, or push your point across, you probably need to stay right where you are until you learn something. It's just something personal that I do for myself. It's just an internal thing. I always check myself, and a lot of times I'm not ready for that next level, and I'm honest with myself. And I go, well, it may take a little longer for me to grow in that area, but I'm not there yet. And I just accept it. And so what you resist will persist. So it's okay to look at the ugly sometimes, because it's a lot to be taught in those moments. It's called a teachable moment. And so I took this time to stop and teach, because a lot of times how you initially respond is where you're at. Now, sometimes people are sick and tired and they're ready to do things and they don't care about what other people are thinking about, and they probably are hard to get along with, like a Steve Jobs. And they probably make no sense like a Bill Gates. And it makes no sense to most of the people around you when you're stepping off to do this thing, whatever it is. And most people around you are discouraging you from doing it because they're looking at it from eyeglasses of fear, because they're not ready for that level. You are. And it's okay. It's just a teachable moment. So adults, here's your instructions, because we got these youth around here and I don't know all the numbers in here. So what I want you to do is just randomly, you're going to pick a youth. You guys have no idea what their goals are. You have no idea what their dreams are. You have no idea. They don't know you, but we're getting ready to know each other. So what I want you to do is to pick up your chairs and go to the youth. Let's see if we can do this in an even number. Let's start with 3 adults to 1 youth. Let's start with that. And let's see if we just naturally have this. 3 adults to 1 youth. Thank you guys for trusting us. Trusting the room. Trusting my crazy. It's designed for to stop and get present and not be distracted. And so it's going to be done in a particular way. I need you to take whatever's in your hands and put them underneath the chair so your hands should be free. Sit up straight, turn to your circle, and make eye contact without talking. I love you guys for trusting me. Let's get quiet quick. Without talking. Okay, so you guys should not be looking at me. I should see no eyeball looking at me. Look at the people in your group. I know it's difficult because I'm sort of calming you and disrupting what we normally do. So just begin to make eye contact with the people in your group without talking. I want you to remember to breathe. Check your breathing right now. Because if you're having a hard time doing this, I want you to breathe, and it will help if you are giggly, if you're kind of someone that laughs a lot, breathe. Take deep breaths and it will help you to get centered. Get you centered looking at people in your group without saying a word. You're going to hear my voice. You guys don't have to talk, just be present. You see, the people looking at you right this moment, they get tired sometimes, just like you do. The people looking back at you right this second, they've been frustrated before, just like you. See, the people looking back at you right this second, they want to be successful in life, just like you do. They want to make it in life, just like you. See, the people looking at you right this moment, they have a purpose in this world, just like you. They have a specific identity, as Stephanie will tell you, just like you. They were made with a purpose, just like you. And believe it or not, the people looking at you right this second have an audience, just like you do. They just don't know them yet. They've been prepared for a specific group of people to deliver a specific message. See, the people looking at you right this second get scared sometimes, just like you do. I know they seem as if they have it all together, but there are times when they second guess themselves, just like you. See, the person looking back at you right this second, they have a journey just like you do. They've come through some challenges just like you have. The people looking at you right this second have dealt with temptation and had to say no when they really wanted to say yes, just like you. See, the people looking at you right this second, they've made mistakes before, just like you. They wanted to give up on things, just like you. They've had promises broken against them, just like you. The people looking at you right this morning have been betrayed before, just like you. They have dreams and goals for their life, just like you do. They have really great ideas, just like you do. See, the people looking at you right this second have a story, just like you. Without saying a word, I want the people in the group to know, without saying a word, because we're always going to be talking. Without saying a word, let people in your group know, I'm here for you. I will not judge you. Oh, that's big, so let me keep talking. The people in the group need to know that there will be no judgment for what you share in this circle. No judgment. Most importantly, that you will not judge yourself for what you realize in this moment. Second agreement with this group is that there will be no repercussions for what we share. It's the number one reason why we're all walking around holding back when we have something really great to contribute. It's because we're afraid that if we say it, it may come back to haunt us. And so in this moment, we are saying that as a group, we're going to make a commitment that there will be no judgment, no repercussions. What's said here stays here. nothing to tear you down, only to build you up. And then our last agreement is unconditional understanding. Unconditional understanding. I want to give us permission right now in this moment to be honest and open. Because this is where the journey begins for some of you adults, and some of you youth. So in this space right now, I want you to get present, and I need for your group to know I will not judge you. There will be no repercussions for what we share. There is unconditional understanding and love that no matter what you have to share here today, it will not be held against you. We're not going to tear you down with information. This is important. I told you I'm going to be a little different when you step outside the box, because I know that that's where success really lives. There's no need of me doing something that you already know. So remember to breathe. Got your pen problems. Breathe. And stop. You can solid eye contact and stay in your group. Stay in your group. You guys did a great job. Thank you for trusting me. Thank you for it is weird, it's different. What's the number one skill? Just someone, it's an open dialogue. What's the number one thing that we tell our youth to do, or that someone told you to do when you're going to a job interview or you're going in for a promotion? What's the number one thing to talk to? Make eye contact. And it's the one thing we never practice. So we wonder why we get all nervous when it's time to interview or it's time to really present to people or someone. It's because we don't practice that skill of truly being with someone. Because we're constantly moving and we usually don't stop until we're forced to stop. Meaning something in life forces us to pay attention to the people in our lives. You know, you get that crazy phone call, you're forced to stop. So right now, this moment, I figured let's just stop while there's no drama happening, so we can really get from each other what we have to do. So thank you guys for trusting me. Thank you for creating a safe space in this room with each other. So with that, I'm just going to guide us through some exercises so that you guys get a chance to know who's in your circle. So, you know, it's a little different because normally you say, my name's Tia, I do this, I do that. We talk about these roles that we have, right? So I'll give it to you because you guys are professionals in this moment, leaders. So I'll give you that. So first time you go around the circle, you can say that. But after that, we need to hear some real stuff. The sentence in this, if you really knew me, that's good. If you really knew me, I'll go first. So if you really knew me, you would know that I like to be my word. And sometimes I make mistakes too. Oh, I have to tell you this. If I say something that you can relate to, you put one hand up. If you're like, oh, me too, Tia, you put two hands up. If someone says something that you really get, you put two hands up and you stand up. So that we know that we're not what? Alone in it. So if you really knew me, you would know that even though we didn't have the money to get through college, I went and found ways to get on financial assistance, and I worked hard to make it through getting my degree. If you really knew me, you would know that at the age of 16, I became a parent. And I had to fight through that. Thank you, I see your hand. If you really knew me, you would know that sometimes I'm optimistic for everybody else's dreams around me, and I put my stuff on the back burner. If you really knew me, you would know that a lot of times I'll say yes to people around me just to make them happy when I know I really don't have time to do it. And then I look up and I'm like, I can't say yes to that. I have 10 things on my plate. If you really knew me, you would know that as a leader, I have a hard time delegating because I feel like if it's going to be done, I got to do it myself. So if you really knew me, so the first time you go around, introduce who you are. If you really knew me, you would know. You say your profession or your business, say what you do. But then when you go back around, give the group some meat about you so they can really see the truth around being a leader or the truth around being a business owner. What is it that they need to know? Because these are the things that blindside us in the journey. Because we're going to talk about it. We just talk about success, we talk about it and see it once it's done. But what's going to come after our youth are the things that we don't talk about. So I figured, what the heck, let's talk about it since we got you all here, because they want to know what they're up against. So in this room, the first time around, if you really need to tell them who you are, what you do, youth. When they get to you, if they really knew you, give them something that you're passionate about. Is it football? Is it athletes? Is it you wanting to get into science? What is that thing that you're passionate about or that you're known for already? Because some of you are doing great things already. So if you really knew me, the person who's, let's see how it is. Okay, the person that has on the darkest clothes, you're going to go first into the group. Now, if all you guys wear the same color clothes, you'll figure it out. Somebody go first. So, the person that has the darkest clothes, you go first, and you guys move to the left, and I'll guide you on when to stop. If you really knew me, ready, go.
It's kind of a tie.
If you really need I've been in Oceanside about 30 years, born and raised.
I thought I recognized it.
That's great.
Music, playing music, creating music, songwriting, playing guitar has been an integral part of my life since I was 13 years old.
Even though I was an introvert, I came from a really small town, and I couldn't even order off a menu and look at the waitress at the side of the bar.
You're so shy?
I was so shy.
Where the center is, and lifelong education.
So if you really knew me, I'm sorry I'm not the greatest animal lover, but I'm glad that you are because we need them.
We need to be all kinds.
Exactly. So, and I think if you really knew me, I'm going to
know that I want to become a doctor one day.
Great.
Yeah.
Wow.
I still don't know what kind of doctor, but I know that I want to specialize with women and children specifically, so I want to figure out still what I want to do.
If you really knew me, you would know. If you really knew me, you would know that I have all 8 normal classes.
If you really knew me,
I take a serious liking to psychology and considering majoring.
If you really knew me, you would know that I retired from both the phone company and from the county of San Diego.
If you really knew me,
And it was easy. I almost transferred away. And I was going to go back to Riverside, which is where I grew up.
You said she's older or younger? Sorry. Older. Okay. Yeah.
Really knew me, you would know that my children are all third generation.
We got about 10 seconds to keep going.
For showing the courage to just put it out there and to not care what other people think. That's really
So, after meeting these three fine people, I learned that they're almost exactly like everyone else. They have families. They've gone through the obstacles. Like I said, they're just like everyone else. Living by a code is what they feel like is right. The one thing that does keep them out and emerges from this diversity of people is their self-determination and who they really feel that they are. That's what I think.
Wow. Anyone else? Yes. I'll try to bring it out. I got you for class. Finish it.
I learned about my group that they all went through struggles and they all learn from their struggles. They're all teaching one another, the students, the people that they don't want them to go through the same struggles that I went through.
Very good. What if your struggle had all to do with what you were to produce in this world? I'm going to say it again. What if your struggle had all to do with what you were designed to produce in this world? Just a question.
Woo.
Just think about it. Like literally, what if that very thing that haunts you, that you struggle with, that very thing, once you came over it, maybe you were designed to create the answer to that for other people. See, all of us in here have either accomplished some things or we're right there. And we all, what I know about leaders and business owners, because I'm a youth, what I know about entrepreneurs is that we're never truly, we may get satisfied and yep, I did that book, I did that great, now I'm on to something new. Because we were sort of birthed that way. How many of you in here have goals for your life? Things that you want to accomplish. Now, keep your hands up. Because sometimes we think these goals have to do with, they're not just the next business, they're not just the next position, they're not just the promotion. Maybe some of you have goals around relationships. Maybe you have goals around obtaining something that you've always wanted and you just don't have it yet. It's okay, yes, thank you. Put your hand down. Now I want to hear what some of those goals are. Just pop up, we'll call them pop up. Raise your hand. I just want to hear what some of those goals are. We'll start like that. All right, start this. What's one of your goals? You or adults? It doesn't have to just be you. Go to college. Next one.
Be a risk taker. Risk taker.
Be a risk taker. That's interesting. Yes.
Mechanical engineer and become a math teacher.
Mechanical engineer. What was that?
Become a math teacher.
Mechanical engineer, become a math teacher. Yes.
I have a goal of having a doctorate in psychology.
Doctorate in psychology. Next one.
Becoming a writer.
Becoming
a writer.
Writer. Very good. Right. Graduate. So far we heard graduate high school, go to college, become a writer. What else did I miss? Become a writer, engineer, math teacher, psychology. What else?
I want to be a lawyer.
A lawyer. Graduate high school, become an actress, become a lawyer. Crime scene investigation. You can yell it out too. Oh, go to Yale. We got a Yale grad in the house. This group. Become a teacher. Come on now. Criminology. Got two of you in the house. A veterinarian, taking care of animals. Become a doctor. Teacher. UFC. Okay. That's different. She doesn't know yet. This is a good thing. It's okay not to know yet. So, what's her name? Pre-med. So, pre-med, we're going to support. You don't have to know yet. That's okay. And I love that you're courageous enough to say you don't know right now, because most people will be trying to make it up. Now, you see, that's a teachable moment. How many of us try to make something up for good? Exactly. That's good. I just graduated. Yeah. Robert. Oral surgery. Neurosurgeons. These are guys will know that because that's my comfortable space. So I know my greatest pressure has probably been what I've been placed on this earth to do. And I had to overcome. I heard someone over here say it. I love the one with Kurt. I don't mess your name up. Franny? I love what she said because the thing is that I didn't know who I was. I didn't know my identity. That's why I love what Sam was doing. From the day I met Sam and even before the book was finished, I started just the word alone. Had me start to search like what is that identity? Because once I found it, I realized that's what I identify with. And I started to move and create products and programs that will help that regardless of where you are in the world. And so I love it. So I'm saying that's one of my goals. It's one of them. I have a few more this year that I'll accomplish. So the reason why I'm bringing up goals right now in this leadership room, in this room full of people that I know are goal givers, is because oftentimes we have goals and we create the steps to get there and we make them bigger than what we need to. So if we had 100% self-esteem, like we know that it would happen, there would be no failure at it when we try it. What is that thing that we would start doing? Or what is that thing that we know we need to stop doing so that we reach that goal? Graduate from high school, make it to Yale, become an engineer, write a book, graduate, be a neurosurgeon. What are those things, those baby step things? Now here's the diamond of this lesson, is that a lot of times we create struggle when there is none. You want to know why? Because we chunk off goals at 100%. So today, I'm not asking you to chunk off a goal at 100%. I'm not asking you to have 100% self-esteem that you can do that thing. I'm not even going to ask you to have 50%. I'm not going to ask you to have 25%. I'm not even going to ask you to have 10%. For the sake of today, this little time, I want you to think, what is the 5% thing that I can do to reach that goal? What is the practical baby step thing that I can start doing right today when I leave that will help me to reach that goal? Or what is that baby step thing that I can stop doing right now that will help me reach that goal? I need for you all to identify that. And that's the thing that I want you to take with you. Because if not, this is all just about informing the talk. I'm more interested in what you do when you leave. As business owners, as community members, as teachers, as those who are officials here in Oceanside School District, myself, whose office is down the street. Like, what is that baby step thing that I can do or not do to help me reach that goal? What's the inaction thing that all of us can start with? Some of us probably already have the answer already because you came in here and know what you need to start doing and stop. So if that's you, I want to hear from you. Just real quick, some of you youth or adults, just pop up and share with us. What is that thing that you can start doing or stop doing that you'll be committed to doing to move towards this goal that you have accomplished? Anybody? Yes. You still have goals and things that you have to reach even when you become successful. That's the part of success. Someone else, yes. Volunteer to teach meditation in high school. I know these teachers and the staff are excited about that. How many of you know you need to start a baby step thing is to start something you've been saying you always wanted to do that would benefit the community or something like that. You're not doing it. Thank you for that. Yes. Oh, you're agreeing. Yes. Someone else. Someone to start doing or stop
Doubting myself.
Stop doubting herself. How many of you need to stop second guessing yourself? Yes. Someone else. Yes. Stop being lazy. I like that. Just go out and say it. How many of you know you need to just pick up that muscle and just do it like a knife so right? Just do it. Right? It just doesn't hold us back. Someone else. Just something you need to start from the top. Say it again. Start writing ideas down every morning. This is a practical baby step. That's what it looks like. Because some of us will say, start writing a book. Well, what does start writing a book look like? Writing down the ideas. That's the baby step. Good one. So you guys are able to tool here.
instead of changing something, continue what you do well.
How many of you continue what you do well, or I'll even take the next up, finish something that you started, that you're really good at? Like that's us, all of us high grades, we keep starting stuff, not finishing it. That's a very good one, yes. Overcome PTSD. Baby step. What's a baby step that you can start thinking about? That's 100% answer. You guys see the last minute? We will naturally, as leaders, come up with a 100% answer, and then we won't move on it. What's the baby step that we can do? Write something down every single day. So take the pressure off yourself and come down to a baby step thing. Yes.
Stop worrying.
Stop worrying. What you gonna replace it with if you stop worrying?
Meet 2 new people a day.
Meet 2 new people a day. Coming outside of yourself. Speaking to people. That's good. These are all wonderful goals. So in wrap up, I wanted to leave you with something here today as business owners. We are looking at the Oceanside Promise. Steve, I know we've talked about this together. We're looking to continue more of this in our community, finding ways to connect you all professionals with our youth so that they can begin to move forward in some of the goals and ideas that they have for themselves. We together are better. And so that is what we are working on here. I want to thank you all for your time. I'm smoothing to get to know me on high, but Margaret may have you all just sort of love on each other. We have something called Who You Are Makes a Difference. Not sure if you guys did that, but it'd be great to end and wrap up with that. I love you all. I thank you. Thank you for your time, and just do it.
Woohoo! Amazing. I really want to acknowledge our Oceanside High School students. Go Pirates!
Woohoo! Big O!
What's a pirate?
Always a pirate.
That's right. All right. So, our high school students do need to get back to school. The bus is waiting for them at the top of the stairs. So hold on one second. Before they leave, this is what's going to happen. Everybody was given an evaluation form and a pencil when you came. Remember the proof part of LEAP, right? So in order to prove that this was valuable to you, we need to get those evaluations back. So please be honest and be real with it. Kelly, Ms. Brinkerhoff, I will give you some questions and an evaluation for your students, and they can fill that out later, okay? High school students, think about 3 things. Answer them with Ms. Brinkerhoff. What is success to you? What obstacles get in your way? And what support do you need? Please write those 3 things down when you get back to class or this week. We want to hear what you have to say. Okay? We want to know how we can support you. So let's give it up for our Oceanside High School students as they leave the building. Everybody else, please get seated.
Make sure you get your stuff out of the way.
Don't let others influence or, controlling of what they say and how to do, but know who you are. Because I do. I just have to define myself. Commonality is huge. We all have our struggles. With yourself, and I think we always think that that's not a young age, but it does as soon as you grow older.
Then 5 seconds to wrap up your conversation.
I learned that,
And
loving what I do,
fist up in the air
honestly,
like this. Please put your fist up in the air. Put your who I am sectors in San Diego. We are choosing 5 industry sectors that we will be focusing on, and the students will be able to choose an industry sector, and they will be able to follow that industry sector all up through the schools, through their schooling. They don't have to stay stuck in one. They're going to be exposed to all of them. They're going to choose one. They're going to have the freedom to navigate in between. But what we need is partners. We need business partners. global transformational leaders and collective impact and making a difference in the community. Please join us for the Community Alliance for Youth Success meetings. And there's a website that you can go to, and we'll be posting on our website when our next meetings are. Anything else, Steve? The foundation. Oh, the Oceanside Promise Foundation. So the Oceanside Promise Foundation has a goal. The only way we can get 100% of our students college and career ready by 2016, 90% by 2016, the only way we can do it is to raise $100 million. So our Oceanside Promise Foundation has to raise $100 million. So we would love to have you participate in that. If you have ideas on fundraisers, if you have philanthropists that you know, if you want to just come and be part of those fundraising events that we're going to have, please be involved. We welcome you. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here. Please give a huge round of applause one more time for Steve Carver and Kevin Graham, Celia Ross, and Bobby Porter, co-founder of the Community Alliance for Youth Success. Thank you so much for being here. What an incredible day. Have an awesome, awesome day. Turn to the person sitting next to you and say, have a fabulous day.
This is great.
So today, Youth Success Week, right? But today was about business, connecting the community and business with the kids. How did that go today? What was happening?
Well, I think it was a great testament to the people's interest in trying to better educate young people in Oceanside. And it's really developing a collective consciousness of all the people, all of the resources, all of the opportunities to serve the benefit of Oceanside through young people. You know, and trying to get them educated and trying to get them to understand who they are and how to develop an identity for themselves and raising the consciousness of the community. They realize what a great community that Oceanside is, what a great city they live in, what a great community that they live in. And so they're only as good as the young people in the community. You know, if they're not educated, if they can't read, if they can't find employment, if they're not ready, it's very difficult to sustain this kind of a quality of life. So the future of Oceanside is the community. The future of Oceanside is the youth. The future of Oceanside is education. That's really the message.
1 second, I got one question for you.
So we can stay in touch with the changing environment, the changing world, and be a part of that changing world, and understand how to take information. Our hero, the 21st century is about self-directed learning. It's about taking charge of your own, it's about organizing your legacy, right? Being able to disrupt your comfortable situations. Grow up. This is 2.5 hours. Not only for you, but for your families. It's really about racial and social economic development. It's taking charge of your finances. It's taking charge of your health. It's taking charge of your education. Because we live in an average world where everything is out there. So we're all doing our collective. We have to put this collective mindset of mediocrity. I think that's what it is. We're not doing anything for ourselves, but we expect everybody else to do for us. That's not going to happen. We live in a global market where it's competitive, and what we have to do is we have to compete in a global society. And we cannot get comfortable and cannot rely on traditional things that have. So business has to be a part of it. So that's why this was so important.
Thanks, man. Too cool. Like, this is too cool, right? I mean, where are we right now? What are we doing?
We are in Oceanside, California, beautiful Oceanside, appropriately named Oceanside, to celebrate Youth Success Week. We had a Leadership Success Day with the local business community.
Youth Success Week, but it's so much outside of the schools, right?
Yeah. So Youth Success Week, obviously from the name you can tell that it's focused on our youth. All of our opportunity to, as business people, as members of the community, to really do whatever we can to lift our youth up. Because, I mean, obviously, there are future generation of leaders. And I just think we have a tremendous opportunity to make a huge difference for so many kids, and through that to our community as a whole.
Perfect. So what was the big surprise today? There was something hit you because you were doing love and business, and I saw everyone go, what? Love and business? I think that was cool.
So the foundation of what I teach, love is at the foundation of business. And it's always fun to see how people respond to that, because we're not used to hearing love and business used together, right? But yet, it makes sense to people instinctually and intuitively. So
That is that there's a whole community that has come together to collaborate and just open their hearts and their time. I think most important is just the time, because that's so precious for people. But we're all standing up for youth. It's Oceanside's Youth Success Week. And it sends such a message, not only to the youth, but everyone in our community to come together, and what that means to really, and there's so many events, there's assemblies in schools, there's public events, and it really is an inclusive event to get everybody involved. I keep thinking about the community and mindsets before this week, and what is it going to be like after this week, because I know lots of shifts are happening, because a lot is good is going on, and it is making a difference here in Oceanside.
Awesome.
With our speakers today was Stephen Graham and Steve Farber, and Tia Ross brought the group together with students, which was really magical, because she brought us together in groups with one student and then community members and business people. Everybody's sharing, and it's, you know, what the student is sharing is so similar to what the adults were sharing in the room. And Tia had just a wonderful way of bringing us all together and really having us go deep and share things we might not normally share with another person, and what that could mean.
Woo, Bobby, thank you.
Alrighty.
That's perfect, hon.
Thank you.